Thank you all again so much for being here today. My name is Michelle Morris, and I'm with Consolidated Planning Group. Today, we've got a great topic, one of the transition topics that we focus on. This one is going to be hosted by Anna Kluth from Daisy Consulting. Thank you so much, Anna, for being here with us today. We really appreciate all of this helpful information that you're going to give us. Before I let Anna take over, though, I would like to say a few words. First of all, we do record all of our webinars and we put them on our YouTube channel. So later on today, you will receive an email with a link to that recording on YouTube. You're also going to receive the slides that Anna goes through, that we both go through, so that you can have those to look at over again. We should be here for about an hour today. The other thing I want you to know is that we cannot hear you or see you because we're in webinar mode. But I know you're out there. The best way for you to communicate with us, because we want your questions and comments, is to put them in the chat box. And I'll be in charge of watching the chat box and letting Anna know what questions we have and answering some of the questions and that sort of thing. So before I tell you a little bit more about Consolidated Planning Group, there's one other person I want to thank and welcome, and that's Alondra Herta from Hope for Three. Hope for Three is a fantastic organization. I was just telling her, I'm always hearing about the great events and sponsorships and things that they're doing at Hope for Three. So Alondra, would you like to take a few moments to share a little bit about what Hope for Three does for families?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Michelle. Hi, everyone. My name is Alondra, and I'm the Volunteer Programs Coordinator at Hope for Three. We are honored to be part of this important conversation during today's special webinar hosted by Consolidated Planning Group and Anna. Thank you so much, Anna, for doing the presentation as well. A bit about Hope for Three. So we are dedicated to raising awareness, acceptance, and action in providing resources and supporting families through their autism journey. While we do not provide direct services, our mission is to bridge the gap by fostering community, empowering families, and creating education opportunities, just like today's webinar. A big special thank you to Consolidated Planning Group for hosting the webinars monthly and their continued support and helping us empowering families and continue raising awareness.
Thank you so much, Alondra. Now, Consolidated Planning Group, in case this is one of the first webinars you've been to with us, and welcome back if it's not your first one, but we are a special needs focused financial planning firm. We're located just outside of Houston in the Sugar Land and Missouri City area, and we've been doing this for over 30 years. We sell life insurance, we do investments, we do anything that any traditional financial advisor would do for you, but where we are different is that we don't just plan to the end of your life as our client, we plan to the end of your child's life. Because if you have a loved one in your family with any kind of disability, whether it be an intellectual or developmental disability, they might need your help for the rest of their life, not just the rest of your life. So we want to help make sure that you're taking advantage of all of the government benefits and programs, all of the vehicles in terms of saving money for your loved one, and that you're truly planning not to just get through your retirement, but to help your loved one through the rest of their life, even after you pass away. We are members of the Special Needs Planning Academy. We are nationally certified Social Security advisors and chartered special needs consultants. And even though we're located here outside of Houston, we serve families all across the United States. Most of our meetings are virtual. That way you don't have to worry about babysitters or travel or sharing COVID germs. So we can work all across the United States. And families come to us for things like, how can I protect my family in case I, as the main caregiver, or I, as the main breadwinner, pass away early? How can I protect my family against that kind of a loss? What about lifetime care planning needs for my loved one? Transition planning, like things we're going to talk about today. vehicles like ABLE accounts and special needs trusts, and ways that you can save money for your loved one's future without jeopardizing SSI and Medicaid and SSDI benefits. And of course, we are here to advocate for you and to educate you. There are so many things that people just don't know. And, when we were going through this with our own families, we kind of said, wow, we want to make sure that our clients know what they need to be doing for their loved ones. There are over 263,000 financial advisors in the United States, but fewer than 200 of those firms focus on special needs planning. That's less than 1/10%. So if you feel like it's really hard to find good information, that's probably part of the reason why. It's because there's a lot of noise out there. So, some quick tips and things for you to think about as we get started before I turn everything over to Anna. We know that it keeps you up at night thinking about who is going to take care of my child when I just cannot do it anymore. How are you going to plan for that? Well, the key to that is to start planning as soon as possible. It doesn't matter how old your child is. Having a longer runway to plan is going to give you more options, more opportunities, and more flexibility with making sure that your money is going to be there to last for your child's lifetime. Think early about what's going to happen after high school. You don't necessarily want them to graduate to the couch to play video games. There are great 18 plus programs and residential programs, educational options and vocational options. And then, of course, all those day and transition programs. So think about what the future is going to look like for yourself and for your loved one, and how you can start planning and preparing now to get them there. Think about touring those programs early because there might be a wait list. And then our last bit of advice is to just be very, very careful when you think that a sibling is going to be able or willing to take over the care of your loved one. Um, and that can go both ways. It could build resentment on either side. The caregiver might think they've obligated themselves to something that they're not sure they still want to do, or maybe they've bitten off more that they could chew. Whereas the caregivee might think, hey, this is my buddy. We've been best friends all these years, and now they're trying to be in charge of me. I don't like that. So just be careful with that plan. It's not always right for everybody. So I would like to introduce you to Anna Kluth from Daisy Consulting. She is fantastic. She's going to go through some ways to find the right path towards self-reliance, confidence, independence, and work. And I really appreciate you so much for being here today, Anna. I almost called you Daisy.
That's fine. I'll respond to either one. Well, thank you. Thank you to Michelle and Consolidated Planning Group. I love partnering with you, and I love attending all of y'all's webinars as well. I always learn something, and so appreciate the forum that y'all provide, because it is a big world to navigate for our loved ones with disabilities or ourselves. So having a forum to share that is important. And like Michelle said, my name is Anna Kluth. I am a transition specialist, and I started Daisy Consulting about a year ago. Prior to that, I have been program director at a Houston nonprofit called Summer House Houston, serving individuals with IDD and autism spectrum disorder. After that, I worked for the system. I wanted to learn more about how the system worked for Houston Galveston Area Council under Workforce Solutions, and did programming and internship planning for students and young adults with disabilities. And through both of those, kind of honed in to start my own practice of serving individuals and being able to support them holistically through any transition process. And also knowing that any goal that you have for employment typically is going to involve goals that you need in your life skills, your day-to-day skills, and just being independent in general. And so today we have an icebreaker. I'm cheesy and always do an icebreaker. So we'll go over basics of transition, some common barriers, some strengths or superpowers that some people like to call it, and then go through some resources that might help you or your family with planning on future education, career, and other community resources as well. So this one is 2 truths and a goal. And I would love for everyone to participate. But if you will share 2 truths about your loved one that you're here for or yourself, and then also their career goal or their dream job. It's just something that kind of helps us get into conversation later also. I know for me, I am a bonus parent to a just turned 12-year-old young man who is on the spectrum, OCD, has a few other barriers as well. But his truths for me are he doesn't know a stranger. He will go and talk to any stranger. He's that friendly little kid. And then he's also a Lego master. So he can sit and do Legos for hours. His goal prior to last week, I just asked him last week again, was, wanted to be a YouTube star. We just asked him last week and he wants to be the cat care person at the Houston Humane Society. So,
I mean, I love all of these goals. These all sound great.
yeah, let me read some of these.
I see. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you got a baker. Oh, Michelle, your son has music.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Oh, wow. He's in band and everything.
Yeah.
Sing and dance from Tracy. Yeah. And that's okay too if we don't know
Wonderful.
what you want to do, because
Mm-hmm.
some of us still change, at any age, we don't know what we want to do or want to change. Gamer, introvert. His goal is independence. Awesome.
That is fantastic.
Okay. Draw and read books. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you all for sharing and doing my icebreaker. Okay. So before anyone can think of sustainable employment, there does need to be a plan. And to make a meaningful and attainable, in order to make a meaningful and attainable plan, we need to start with the basics. So the basics of all the W's. So who is involved in this? It should always be person-centered. So the most important person is the person that the plan is for. And then anyone who supports that person and can add value to the plan. This could include typically parents or a caregiver, a sibling, and then input from different people along the way too, depending on what the transition goal is. So it might be when you're in the education system, then you might have a VR counselor there, friends input, cousins, special needs attorney, special needs financial planners, employers, maybe past employers if you're working on employment goals, job coaches, any information from psychologists or ABAs or any other doctor, really to get a solid plan to understand where what's going to benefit the individual and help them be successful in their journey. The what is social personal care, vocational training. So those can be a plethora of things. It can be small or big. It just depends on the need of the individual and where they are in life and what's coming up next. And when is any age. If you are in school and in school by law in Texas, transition planning must include the student when they turn 14. And so this doesn't always happen, or we might not be aware of it, but just to have that conversation at 14 or have the individual a part of the conversation is really important. It's kind of like Michelle was talking about earlier, the earlier you can get started on anything, even if it's just an idea or thought, is going to make it easier once graduation happens or those other life moments happen. And so, yeah, any age after that too. So I working with somebody in their 50s and their late 20s, 30s. We all have milestones along our life journey. And some of us need those supports and person there to help us know what to do next. And then where is everywhere, right? School, home, community, work, friends, any and everywhere. We're working on all of our transitions. We're walking out the door, that's a transition. And then why, I like to ask everyone here too, if you don't mind answering in the chat, is why do you think transition services exist, or if you think they're important and why, or if you have any experience with them.
We have a lot of experience with that, but just as a former educator and as someone who loves learning, I love your answer to where learning, transitioning, changes happen every day, everywhere around us. The more we can get the kids used to that and comfortable with that, the better off they're going to be, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think if we understand it as the supporters too, as caregivers, that we can be working at it at all times.
Yes.
Okay. So this is kind of my view of why are these some of these statistics. So why we need to be working on this is because these are the outcomes of what can happen later on, with or without those sports or quality supports. So 34% of neurodivergent high school students go to college, compared to 70 of neurotypical, and then 41% of students with disabilities graduate from four-year college. 20% of young adults with autism spectrum disorder live independently after high school. So that's compared to 59% of Gen Pop. And then 30 to 40% are the unemployment rates for neurodiverse adults. And that is 3 times higher than the rate for people with disabilities and 8 times higher than the rate for people without disabilities. And really, if you look up some data, it says the unemployment rate for neurodiverse adults is 80%. So it kind of depends on where you're looking. That number is just so crazy. It's hard for me to write on a slide, but that number is out there also. So these things can help us be mindful of how we are speaking about things and supporting our loved ones earlier on. Another statistic that's not on here from the Bureau of Labor Statistics is the average time for a neurotypical individual to find a job is 5 months. And for someone who is neurodiverse, it can be about 12 months on average. So just knowing too, if that's the average time, there's a lot of work and support and training that can be done up to that also. So some of the numbers are discouraging, but they can also motivate us to, get started quickly and be intentional about how we're working with our young adults and high school students and loved ones. All right, so the basics of transition planning. So before, during, and after, all stages of employment are important. And so we never want to kind of let go or forget about anybody or anything. Preparation and maintenance are key for individuals as well. So checking in constantly or on a regular basis that you have agreed upon to see how the individual is doing. And before you even start planning, you can when you're creating the plan, starting on those soft skills, resume writing, interview skills, career exploration, internships, career goals, communication, self-advocacy. So all those things that are needed in the interview, in a job, in a classroom, in a social situation, ordering food at a restaurant, all of the things. Another one on here too, and that isn't on here, but that I come across a lot and can be very overwhelming and difficult, is the application process. Now it is every time you go to apply for a job, you have to set up a whole profile on a portal. You have to check back on the portal. So including all of that information and how you can do it, kind of the workarounds on how to do those also, because it can be overwhelming, especially if you're working with someone who is not computer savvy. You know, there's not a whole lot of great accommodations for that part of it, because if you're working or you're wanting to work at a corporate type of place, you know, you have to go through the portal, and it is, you know, it's time consuming. You might make a mistake here and there. You get the red alert. So that's something that I've been kind of focusing on more too, within the transition goals also. And then during the transition or transition services, you'll do lots of check-ins. Once they have the job, you'll, if they need job coaching, you figure out what that looks like between the employer and the individual, always fading out or, you know, being there as little as needed. And then financial literacy and money management. And that's always a learning curve for everyone. So before, during, and after, money concepts can be a barrier for some individuals. So just understanding what a dollar is, what does it mean to have a dollar, and bringing that into real life when an individual starts getting paychecks, and then real world paying bills, or, you know, what does it look like if you do live on your own, and what do you need to pay for, and how much do you need for that, and savings. And then anything beyond that, you go to consolidated planning group for.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Right. Yeah. I know my limits. But and then constantly reviewing while someone's at the job. So you know, one of the things that I focus on too a lot is building confidence and having someone understand what they're good at and when they're good at it. So those constant reviews of checking in, having almost self-advocacy too. So self-advocating, I did this well, or also I didn't do this well, I need help. You know, that's always a constant goal for many people, is asking for help, and knowing who to ask help from. And so those reviews kind of help individuals get comfortable with asking those questions as well. And then always checking in on career goals. If the goal is to work at HEB now, that might not be the goal next year or in 2 years, but maybe you need a first job, or maybe that is the whole career goal. So you're checking in, are you doing okay? Are you still getting along, you know, communicating well with management and your coworkers so that they can be successful at whatever path they have? And then again, always after and following up. So check-ins. I always check in like once a month at the beginning of the month. I'm texting everybody, how are we doing? Asking open-ended questions too, so that I can get answers and not just, I'm good, I'm fine. But make sure, like anything that we were working on specifically before, that I'm asking about, so something doesn't come up when it's too late at work, let's say, that we're able to talk things through. And then managing those career goals and talking about any promotions that might be available or be an opportunity for the future. All right, so common barriers to employment. And there's probably many more, and you're welcome to add in the chat, because I think we probably all have experienced some barriers. And sometimes I like to say, in place of lack of, you could also say inadequate. So, but first, where to start? You know, some people, they don't, they might not know what a resume is, what the interview is. So really starting from the basics, like we kind of are doing here today, with what is the job? A job, you know, you get a paycheck at work, and then start exploring that. But really just going over what that process looks like to get a job, and those basic communication skills or soft skills that are needed also. Dress code, that's a big one too. We're hearing a lot of feedback from employers too in interviews of what were they wearing when they came in here, or Why are they wearing slippers? And some of that is because no one was told what to wear and what not to wear. Lack of resources. So sometimes it's not of anyone's fault, but just not knowing, being aware of the resources that are out there. Lack of training, that could be from the employer side. A lot of times it might be from the employer side. Raise your hand, or, think in your head, how often I go out now and I'm like, what's going on with customer service? Or like, I'm getting my grocery bag and I have eggs and, a pumpkin together or something. So just thinking about the training, and that can be a barrier there. So knowing how to help train ahead of time also. Lack of confidence, and lack of confidence can really increase a person's anxiety. I think we all know that one too. So really trying to build up confidence, and the way you do that is just reiterating and practicing all of the soft skills, or what's needed for any job, and then also the specific job that you are applying for as well. Medical support. These next two kind of go together with the proper accommodation. So knowing if you do need medical support, how to ask for that, and if you need any accommodations, to know what your rights are and that you have access to accommodations. And so learning how to ask for those in a proper way. And then any educational supports too. And that could go back to training also, if you're getting training that's in a big book, and you might not be a big reader, or you need some kind of support reading, and the employer doesn't know that, or they do know, but they don't know what to do. That's where the educational support can come in too. So just knowing how to ask for that. Maybe you need a different type of curriculum or learning training modules. So yeah.
It's just so important that people understand, as an employee, what their rights and responsibilities are, as well as the company's rights and responsibilities towards them.
Exactly. All right. And then top 5 strengths of neurodivergent people. Again, this is from one study. We know there are a lot of strengths and superpowers, but hyperfocus is a big one. There is creativity, innovative thinking, detailed processing, authenticity. So again, some of these, in some instances, these might be challenges for our loved ones or young ones going through school. If they are, in school and they're hyper-focused on something and they can't, pull away from it. So thinking about how to use that, and what jobs need that skill, to make them successful and actually require it, right? We can go to the next slide. But as an example too, for the kind of the hyper focus, and it's not on here, but y'all might experience this too, as far as like routines and doing the same thing. I was in an interview with supporting a young man, and they were doing the interview and he was doing great. And at the end, the interviewer said, I just want to tell you and be transparent. This job can get really boring. It was for pharmacy tech assistant, and it's doing the same thing every day. You're pulling the same items, you're putting them in, and you're making pharmacy tech packs and doing this. And, his eyes kind of lit up, because he was like, this is exactly, that makes him feel comfortable and in control when he knows exactly what he's doing every single day. It's the same routine. So for him, he was like, yes, that sounds perfect. Like, I want to do the same thing every day. So it's just knowing what works for some people and what doesn't work for others. And also as a lesson to employers as well, right? That there are certain people maybe that you should be reaching out to that might prevent some of that turnover as well. But I love that story, because he was just like, yes, okay, same thing.
Most people would think, oh, no. But
Yeah,
they have everybody has different strengths and skills and superpowers. So
yeah. And so that is for anyone out here like looking for employers too. They have a lot of these pharmacy compounding facilities, and they have different types of jobs within those facilities that kind of have that repetitive work where you're making, $18, $19 an hour, full-time benefits. So just that's something new I came across in the last year and they were open to me being there as a job coach and just being there as a support person to the individual. So, all right. So other jobs that kind of go together with those strengths, and these come from either labor market information from the DOL, or I also just looked on Indeed and typed in these traits. And so this is what popped up for some of the available jobs. So hyperfocus is document scanning, software programmer, assistant baker. There was a baker earlier. And then, yeah, any kind of even like law firms, there's some real estate where you're having to go through contracts and you can focus and you are detail oriented. Creativity, event associate, teacher assistant, craftsperson. So that can probably go in a lot of different ways, just depending on what you're doing. Floral arrangements. Right now, there's a lot of people hiring for the floral departments because it's holiday season's about to come up. And innovative thinking, so entrepreneur, audiovisual tech, graphic design. A lot of those kind of like techie type jobs are great for that. Detail processing, lab technician, engineering, bookkeeping. Bookkeeping has been coming up a lot too. So that is a job that's out there where if someone is into detail and working in a quiet space. Authenticity, teacher, customer support, advocate, greeter, any kind of person like if you're working with someone who has, a great personality and loves that customer service, that can go very far in a lot of different jobs.
Oh, I love that you mentioned finding a good work environment for what they want to do. So, if your loved one really doesn't like to sit and be silent, having them in a position like you were talking about might not be right for them. Or someone who, they really want to work with money, but they can't sit and be quiet working at a bank. You have to kind of balance those things out and help them see those differences.
Absolutely. And that's something we didn't really touch on, but yeah, environment for the person is a huge one. And you'll know very quickly if someone is working in a place and they don't like the environment. So that is something that should definitely be within the goal when you first start talking and planning. All right. So some resources. I like to put this in here because I used to work for Workforce Solutions, which is on the left here. And then there's Texas Workforce Solutions. And everyone gets them confused because it's confusing. It covers the same area. And Workforce Solutions, I'll just kind of go through this and then reiterate it afterwards. But Workforce Solutions is actually a nonprofit. It's a workforce board. I think Texas has 28 workforce boards. Houston Galveston Area Council, that's where I was previously. It's the largest workforce board in the United States. So it covers 13 counties, just as TWC. Not all of, but most of the funding do come through TWC, but they apply for it in grants, which isn't really important to any of you, but just so you know, it's that's kind of how they're different. If you are TWC, they are direct employees for the state, and Workforce Solutions is a nonprofit. Workforce Solutions can provide a variety of job-related services to all community members. VR, Vocational Rehabilitation, TWC, that is specific to employment services for individuals with disabilities who have a barrier to employment. And so there is an application and eligibility process for VR, workforce solutions. Any staff can help you at any office, and an application might not necessarily be needed. And it'll probably be more broad support, whereas vocational rehabilitation, that's where you can get more funding. They're going to be more specific to knowing how to work with individuals with disabilities and help with any accommodations and other work necessities needed. Any questions on workforce solutions versus Texas?
I don't see any in the chat box. Do both of them work with the same age ranges? We typically say age 14 to 22.
So both of them work with any age, but the 14 to 22 is the pre-employment transition services. And that is under VR, under the vocational rehabilitation.
Okay, great.
And
Thank you.
so, yeah, and that is the it's like you have to, there's 4 criteria now. It's you have to have a disability, be in a school, be between 14 and 22. And I think now they're saying you have to document your identification. So just those 4 criteria. If you needed additional services or like help with any other type of funding for like uniforms or college, then you'd have to fill out the bigger application for VR. But that 14 to 22 is specific to VR.
Okay.
They do summer earn and learn. There's an internship where they partner. Yeah, the documentation that's just started October 1st. So
Okay.
used to not be a requirement. But all right, and here are some colleges that have specific programming for individuals who are neurodiverse. And some of you may have heard of them. The University of St. Thomas, that one just started 2 years ago. So that's a good one and a popular one. Lone Star Life Path, University of Houston Clear Lake, Bast Academy, Alvin Community College, and Gateway. Bast Academy, HCC, they just opened up to branch out into many of their different campuses, or not Houston City College now. Sorry, they just changed it. But so they have brought in that program, and then all the other ones, depending on your location in and around Houston. And then also the A&M has a big program. I think Baylor has a big program. So really that's where you just want to get into your Texas Tech has a great program as well. Just start getting into your Googling and kind of figuring out, again, what is your budget for college? What are the expenses? And then location, all of those things as well.
I would encourage people to check out thinkcollege.net. You can search for different programs and different kinds of schools, and all over the United States, different schools with offices of disability are, they're not all equal. Some of them have great programs and some of them do not. I'm going to put the name of that website in the chat box, thinkcollege.net.
Awesome. I just wrote it down too. Thank you. All right. So here is trade schools. And this is where I get kind of excited and people get excited about this. We don't have our video that's working. I'll put the YouTube video. But here in Houston, and you see more maker spaces kind of popping up all over. On another slide, there's ones that are in different areas of Houston. But TXRX Lab is awesome. It's a co-working and education hub. It's over 30,000 square feet of welding, phone battery making, woodworking classes, 3D printing, photography, electronic fabrication. They just partnered with a company who's making the medical masks. So instead of importing those from wherever they came from before, now they have they've rented space in this hub, and they are hiring all different types of individuals to come in. And so when you're talking about that repetitive work, that you go in, you know exactly what you're doing, that's there. So they're always looking for new companies like that come in where you don't need a college degree. You know, this is for someone who wants a different path, who might just need a certificate. And there are so many jobs out there that are sustainable long-term, where you don't need, that even an associate's degree or a 4-year college. But you can get that certificate and be independent. And it's usually jobs that are paying, but they're not minimum wage jobs. So they try and be conscious of what they're paying for people to be living independently as well. So really cool to check out. I'll put the YouTube link in the chat in just a minute, but it's just a 3-minute video, and it's a tour of the space. And
just imagine that that's what you're watching right now.
Right.
Tour of the space.
We're panning into a woodworking room right now.
Isn't this great?
I'm sorry, I messed up. And then there's Ion Lab here at downtown Houston next to Greentown Labs. These are kind of more robotics and energy and kind of those types of industries. I've been in there before when they were working on a recycle robot kind of plan where it was they had robots doing the recyclings on the street, and that's as far as I can tell you because it was above my head on understanding. But they're always working on really innovative and cool ideas that are actually coming to be real life that they're using. So and a lot of big companies are within these hubs as well.
Well, and it seems like something that any business owner could, look to these kinds of companies to, delegate some of the work that we have to do as a business owner, or making signs or getting some help or whatever. So that's really, really neat.
Yeah. And a lot of them too, if you are wanting to be like an entrepreneur, this is a good route too. You can go learn a skill, things that you could like set up your own shop at home eventually, or do if it's jewelry making or whatever it is, 3D making, 3D printing. But so it's really cool. I recommend everyone going to take a look. And then these are different spaces in and around the Houston area. So Fab Lab, it's in the East Aldine Community Center. The Humble Maker, so that's up in Humble. Idea Space, that's the Houston Community College, West Houston Institute. So all of these are great. And like I said, there's probably one closer to you and wherever you're living. And I'd go check it out. I know the Houston Public Library actually has innovation. A couple of their libraries, they're doing like tech centers in there where you can go in and do like green screens, not 3D printing, but some like t-shirt printing and stuff like that.
Nice.
So just kind of thinking all of that outside of the box of what's available as far as career goes and money making. Other resources, Consolidated Planning Group is always on the top of my list.
Oh.
Yeah. And then Family to Family Network, even though they have unfortunately closed shop, but their website is still up and they have a plethora of information and resources. And Texas On Course, which is a state-funded initiative to improve college and career readiness. You can go to the next slide on that one. So this is a great spot. If you are an educator, you can go in. They have curriculum from grades 6 to 12. They can help with the application process. You can put information in to see if there's any grants that you might be eligible for. They have workshops all the time for educators or users of the website. And it's always kind of up to date, it is up to date information on requirements for those applications as well. And as we know, things are changing on a daily, monthly basis.
Yeah.
So
this is definitely one that I want to add to our other webinars that I had not heard about. This looks really good.
It's great. I think they actually had a webinar today that is and again, like y'all, they have it recorded too, so you always get it afterwards. But really, really good website. All right, and here's some more that I use, Mikey's Guide. I don't know if any of y'all have ordered that, but I order that each year. They have a whole list directory of it if you like a paper copy. Yeah, these will be emailed out to you, but these are ones that I kind of use on a regular basis. Summer House Houston and the Hub Houston are on there too. Those are great kind of day program and vocational training programs. That's all.
Lots of great stuff on here.
Yeah. Apprenticeships. This is one that a lot of people don't know about either. And so this is from the Department of Labor. TWC VR, if you are part of them, they, if you mention this, they should be able to make that connection too and look on here. But this is a website you can explore on your own as well. And it has, well, right here, over 800,000 plus apprenticeships, right?
Wow.
So a couple of things to note, and it's really easy to navigate the website. Apprenticeships are usually non-paid. If you look at registered apprenticeships, so that keyword is registered apprenticeships, those are typically paid on-the-job training. So, and a lot of companies like healthcare providers, pharmacies, long-term industries that are seeing a shortage of staff, and now they're trying to plan for their future staffing needs. They are a part of this because they need qualified workers, and so they're willing to pay for that training as they start up. Some of these too, so some of these you don't need any type of bachelor's degree or associate. Some of them are just straight up on start training. Some of them you do. So you just want to look at what it is and read everything before you hit apply or do that. But a really good resource to go in and see, and also kind of explore different career paths that you haven't thought of. So, that might be, maybe you're looking at, I need to make this much money. Well, what all jobs are out there for that, and what can I do, and what do I even want to do out of those?
Now, do you know, is this program is open to everyone? So do they do a good job with our loved ones and understanding the different requirements and patience required?
So yes, so that is why. So VR, if you have a VR counselor to guide you through this or help you with this, then they can help with any accommodations. They already have certain employers that they work with who know, who already have accommodations in place or are ready to be open to the supports needed for an individual. So just making sure that you kind of put those two together. If you go on this website and you already have a VR counselor, that's even better for the counselor, right? You already did your homework, you're going in, you're saying, how can we make this possible? But they do have a strong, a whole apprenticeship program under TWC.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. All right, and this is just my flyer. So I am a pre-ETS provider. So I am under VR. And so under pre-ETS, we provide, there's 5 different categories. There's self-advocacy, work readiness, career exploration, post-secondary, and I'm missing one.
Is it social?
No, that's under work readiness, work-based learning.
There we go.
Okay. So that is through VR. So that's through, you'd have to go through a TWC VR counselor, but we partner with schools to provide different types of curriculum, soft skills training, time management, all of those. They can be offered during the school day if it works out with the school, or it can be done after school. You see a lot of camps in the summertime. I also provide private one-on-one sessions, and that's can look a lot of different ways. That's where it's super individualized. I can come to the person's house, or we can meet at their school. This can be for any age, but that's more so for like the older adults who are either just getting into looking for a job, or looking to learn skills to enhance their career. And that's for any age as well.
So Anna, tell us about your consultations. What does that look like?
So consultation is 30 minutes. Those are free. If you're just needing resources, I'm happy to do a consultation as well. But it's and I'll send out kind of a questionnaire before we meet to have an idea of the individual that you're trying to get support for, to know where they are in their transition journey or job journey. And from there, we'll talk about what the person's goals are, if it's the parents' goals or who's ever there to support them, their goals, and kind of just an information session. And from that, and kind of learn like what time frame they might be looking for. And then from that, I provide a couple of different options of what that can look like. So typically when services start, it's like twice a week. Hour sessions, either in person, like I said, I can come to the individual, or we meet at libraries, or virtual if that works out better for someone, or they're not living in Houston, and just go through whatever their goals are in curriculum.
I'm writing down your email address, even though I know I have it elsewhere, but I want to make sure I send you an email after this. So I hope everyone is doing that right now. All right, Anna at daisyconsultinghtx.com. So anybody who has more questions, maybe you didn't have any questions right now, but you will later on when you lay down in bed or start thinking about something else, please reach out to Anna and get those answered. Or maybe you just didn't want to post your question in a public group like this. That is no problem. So, Anna, this has been so helpful. And if anybody has any questions, you can put them in the chat box still. I've got a couple of slides left. These are some of the things that we talk to families about every day, things to just keep on your radar related to special needs planning. You know, that future cost of care, how to use maybe SSI versus SSDI, or the ABLE account versus the special needs trust. When do you need to get a lawyer involved? All of those kinds of things, as well as the resources, the benefit planning, your own retirement planning, all of that stuff is what we do. We host these webinars usually 3 times a week. And if you would like to see what we have coming up, you can check our website. This link will take you there. And then that way you can register ahead of time for our webinars. This is our entire team. We have 4 financial advisors and 5 staff members. And like I said, we're located just outside of Houston, but we work all across the United States. What I would really love for all of you to do is to go ahead and schedule your free initial consultation with us. Again, just like Anna, it's over Zoom. It's completely free. We send out a short questionnaire for you to fill out so we can know a little bit more about your family before we jump in and try to give you advice. You can use the QR code. You can call or email my office, or you can call and email me directly so that I can schedule your consultation. Also, this slide includes our other social media links so that you can follow us. So again, Anna, thank you so much for your helpful information. I really appreciate what you're doing for the community. And if you want to put together one slide for me that I could include in other webinars about transition planning, I would love to do that for you. Yeah. And everybody, I just hope that you have a really great week and that you feel free, whether you have a question now or later, to reach out to us. We are not here to push you or to sell you on stuff. We are here to help you. So please follow up with us if you have any questions. We will be following up with you to see if you want to schedule that free meeting. And with that, I guess I see no other questions, so I'll just say goodbye. And thank you, Alondra, for being here today.
All right.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Bye,
Anna.
everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.